This is Owl Talk,
a Sigma Pi podcast
featuring stories,
news, updates, and more
from the world of Sigma Pi Fraternity.
Welcome back to another episode of the Owl Talk podcast. In this episode, we're going back to one of my favorite topics to talk about with Sigma Pi men, and that's entrepreneurship. In particular, this week I have two outstanding young undergraduates who have been involved in a variety of different entrepreneurial ventures and training programs, and I'm looking forward to having them share their experience with our listeners. For this episode, I'm happy to welcome two of my younger chapter brothers from Delta Beta chapter at Monmouth University. First, we have Blake Marushak, and next we have Brandon Blythe. Both Blake and Brandon are small business management and entrepreneurship majors at our business school, and our listeners might remember them from that bonus video episode we recorded at the Greater New Jersey Province Workshop back in September. Anyway, guys, welcome to the Owl Talk podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Forward to a good time.
All right, guys, if you listen to this podcast, and I know you do, then you know that I always start these episodes with the guests introducing themselves. So
yes,
let's start with Blake. Tell us where you're from, what brought you to Monmouth University, and then ultimately what led you to Sigma Pi.
Yeah, so I am originally from the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, although it's not New Jersey as most of the people who go to Monmouth, but I'm just a little skip over. It's like an hour and 30 minutes, but I'm a senior here at Monmouth. Obviously, I'm in the Delta Beta chapter, which has been an absolute amazing time so far. But I came to Monmouth because of obviously what they market and the location. It's right next to the beach and everything like that. But I think it was more of the class size of how things are and their academic standing, obviously the Leon Hess Business School and everything like that. So I thought it was a good fit. I didn't want to go to the Penn State cult and go where 90% of my school goes. But I think it comes down to the whole classroom kind of situation for me.
All right, for our Theta chapter brothers who are listening, shout out to you guys.
Still love Penn State, though.
Yeah, they're the best. They're the best.
We are
Monmouth. All right, Brandon, how about you? Where are you from? How'd you get to Monmouth University? Then ultimately, what brought you to Sigma Pi?
All right, well, my name's Brandon. First of all, I'm from Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, which is Philly suburbs. I say it's from Philly just to sound like I'm from Philly, but really it's not. No one from Philly considers it Philly. However, it's a great place. You should take a trip there. The reason I came to Monmouth, the first reason is because my good buddy in high school actually committed to play baseball there. And he was like, oh, you should go check it out. And I went over to Monmouth and I checked it out on the orientation day and everything. And I loved the campus. I loved how it was, it was close to me. It's about an hour and a half drive. It was close yet like far enough to the point where I didn't feel like I was still at home, which was like a perfect distance. And, I saw, like Blake said, I saw the class size and I saw how it was small and very personal. And I really like that with professors. It really helps me during my learning. And yeah, that's how I got to Monmouth.
That's great. Hey, look, I did the same thing. I went to a school that was an hour and a half away from where I lived and it felt good. It felt good.
It's a good commute.
And then what brought you to Sigma Pi Fraternity?
What brought me to Sigma Pi Fraternity was definitely, I went out to a few Rush events. I got to know some of the guys. And really, they just had a very strong brotherhood and bond that, I kind of felt like I was missing in my life. Obviously, I had some good friends back at home, but the way they were all just so close and they were bonding together and they all worked together to, achieve a specific goal. I really liked that. And everyone was just really nice, treated me like I wasn't even in yet. And they all treated me with respect. And I was really cool with all of them. It was great. And I also saw a lot of their philanthropic events they did. And I thought that was very interesting. And I wanted to be a part of that. And finally, they would always tell me about, the business opportunities and the opportunities you can get out of that after school. And I'm not saying that's the whole reason I did, but obviously that was a factor. And I always, it has been helping me throughout my journey, especially with people like Joe on the podcast. He's helped me with a lot of stuff, and so have all the brothers and alumni as well. So it's been great. And yeah, that's how I got here.
Yeah. I mean, look, the professional development end of the fraternity world is often spoken about, but never given real practical application. And it seems like that's been a big thing for both of you.
Mhm.
The topic today for this episode is entrepreneurship. And in particular, maybe some of the work you've been involved with, like early stage entrepreneurship. I know you guys have worked together on some projects. I know that you've worked independently on some startup companies. Why don't you walk our listeners through your experience in the world of entrepreneurship? You guys can take this on any way you like.
Blake,
Yeah. Yeah. So, fun fact, I've actually never worked for an official job, never worked for somebody. If we consider caddying at a country club working for somebody, then that's the closest I've ever gotten to that. But I still picked my own hours. So when during COVID, I was with my best friend and we are trying to figure out something to do. And so we got into mobile car detailing. And so I got my first kind of entrepreneurship venture of trying to figure out how we can go about doing this, how I can work for myself, how we can make money during some crazy times where people are not really hiring anybody. Obviously, we saw quite a big decrease in jobs and everything like that. But that then catapulted into some stuff that I'm doing now. Again, I've bounced around to several different companies I did or stuff like that. So I did marketing, websites, social media, the whole 9 yards. I tried to do everything. And the big thing was that I kept failing, and that's okay. Failing's like the biggest and most number one thing when it comes to being an entrepreneur, because you have to fail in order to learn. And so I kept failing, and I was basically like throwing pasta at the wall to see if it would stick. And that metaphor is like, oh, it's done, like you're here. And it wasn't working. And then just come all this AI stuff. Just in the past year, I got really in tune with a bunch of AI stuff, and that has led me to several different ventures within artificial intelligence, such as consulting, software design, and everything along those lines. So my story of failing and nothing succeeding, but then at the end, there's always that kind of bright tunnel. And so you just got to keep going and moving forward in that respect.
Great. Brandon.
Yeah, I would say I had a different introduction to entrepreneurship. It wasn't really something that was on my radar in high school. Like Blake said, he started his own mobile detailing company in high school. That wasn't really That wasn't really in my head at the time. But I've have worked regular jobs, and I've realized that it's not always the best, and being someone's boss, someone being your boss isn't always the best feeling. And I think everyone can say that. Everyone's got to work a regular job at some point in their life. 99% of people, maybe unlike Blake. But yeah, and then I got to Monmouth, and I started my freshman year. I didn't have any classes really that were involved with entrepreneurship. It was just my gen eds, and I didn't really like them that much. And then my sophomore year and junior year, I got more into my actual, business classes, entrepreneurship classes, and I really started to enjoy them, especially my small business management class, which was my favorite class I've ever taken. And throughout the course, we had multiple guest speakers come in. I think we had about 6, and each one of them was an entrepreneur in their own respect. And hearing from them really just motivated me. It was like, wow, I think I can do this too. And it really motivated me to try an entrepreneurial venture. And then I got closer with Blake because I had like 3 classes with Blake that semester, I remember. And me and him has had a lot of the same thoughts and a lot of the same views. And we realized that we could probably be really good partners and work together well. So Blake kind of took me under his wing and taught me a lot of things about entrepreneurship throughout his ventures. And, he brought me on to some of his stuff. And it's really just been great from there.
I want to dig into that. I want to dig into what you guys are doing together, some of the training programs. They're very competitive in nature, and we'll get to that. But I have to take a shameless plug. Who taught that class that you left on?
Mr. Palazzolo himself.
I also took that class.
That's right.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, I'm a professor at Monmouth, and these guys have been in my classes. In fact, not only have they been in my classes, they've been big promoters of our fraternity at Monmouth, and also the university itself. Earlier today, they were promoting the university to incoming freshman who will be starting at Monmouth in September. So good representation, not just of the fraternity, but for the university overall. All right, let's dig into this work you've done together. Let's dig into the competitive programs that you've gone through. Do you want to maybe give our listeners a background on some of those programs and how those programs helped develop your skill set in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I'll start because it leads into it. So excuse me. So just over this last year, like I said, I got really involved with everything to do with AI, and I didn't think that I was going to be this kind of tech nerd. I like to call myself a nerd now. It's
Nerd.
pretty cool. I like to consider myself as Iron Man if I was ever to get
There
there
you
on
go.
stage. But I started really getting in the technology, and so then that led into a lot of really competitive fields. So our school has a lot of amazing programs and competitions that you can get into. So one of them being is the Hawk Tank that the Entrepreneurship Center does, exactly like Shark Tank. In the retrospect, that you have a startup idea, you go through a program that's presented to you, kind of figure out everything. So you have your SWOT analysis, business plan, everything that you can think of when it comes to starting a business, and then you pitch that idea that you have to a panel of judges with a room full of 50 to 100 people who are there watching you. So it's definitely really interesting to do that if you have never done that before, if you're not the best at public speaking, but it gives you a really good idea of the different things that you can do. And I myself was never the best at public speaking, but doing so had then taught me to be a lot better and understand how to really do that. We also have an amazing program called the Hess Excellence Scholarship. So that's during Monmouth University's Scholarship Week, where there's a lot of competitions as well. So I entered in my artificial intelligence company and consulting to that, which was really interesting. I got able to work with a lot of professors on AI, so kind of open up the world. And again, through the Entrepreneurship Center that we have at Monmouth, they offer a ton of different programs outside of Monmouth as a whole. So there's something called the National Science Foundation I-Corps program, which is amazing. It's held at a ton of different colleges across the U.S., and I think they might be international as well. But they have a lot of accelerator programs. So what we focus on, or what they focused on, was the lean canvas model, which Dr. Palazzolo had taught us in the entrepreneurship class.
That's right.
It's by Steve Blank, which is it's a really interesting model, which you do a ton of customer discovery to try to really prove out what your business model is, rather than just going by the book and just putting something on a piece of paper. But through this program, it's 4 weeks and you have to do 20 plus customer interviews. So these customer interviews are really interesting because your goal is to not tell the customer about your business. Your goal is to be as biased as, or be not biased as possible, to understand if this is a market fit, if your company can go out and fit within and really try to hone in on what your value proposition is. So these programs all align with each other, and not to add on, just you get a certificate, but you also get a ton of money to do them, which is also another really cool incentive. But yeah, it's a lot of programs like this are not shown as much as they should, but within everybody's school there's always cool programs like this. I know Brandon and I just did the same thing at Rutgers. I did it previously at Princeton, which I'll let him get into a little more, but I know schools like Rutgers University and different ones have programs built in with their entrepreneurship program. I think they have something that's like the Hawk Tank, but I think it's called the Scarlet Pitch. So it's something along those lines. But everybody has these kind of programs. You just gotta see how you can fit into them and really get into them.
Yeah, there's going to be programs like that all over the country. So all of our undergraduate listeners, I know we have a lot of undergrads who listen. just check it out. Go check out your university website. If you have a center for entrepreneurship like we have at Monmouth, I'm sure your center does some kind of pitch like we have Hawk Tank, like Blake was talking about. But that's a lot of different training programs and competitive programs. The Hawk Tank Hess Excellence series, which is more academic in focus, but still entrepreneurship.
Yep.
And then the I-Corps program. So, Brandon, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the programs that you and Blake have been involved with?
Yeah, so Blake, a year prior, he was involved in the I-Corps program at Princeton, and he mentioned to me that they were having one at Rutgers and he has this little startup company called D-Drive that he wanted to bring to the table at a new I-Corps program, and I was like, yeah, I'll be along for the ride. And I always want to be a part of a startup, like in the early stages, because there's something very interesting to me that I learned in your entrepreneurship classes. And so yeah, we went to Rutgers and we did a lot of things with Rutgers at I-Corp. First of all, they did an amazing job at structuring everything, and I guarantee for any listeners that want to get involved with I-Corp, there's a school near you that is hosting it, and you can get involved. And you get some money for participating, so that's a great incentive. But yeah, we went in. We obviously used the lean canvas model. They had a ton of guest speakers come in that have actual experience in the field of entrepreneurship, it's always great to hear from them. And it was once a week was it 4 weeks? 4 weeks. Yeah, once a week for 4 weeks. It doesn't take up a ton of time. There's little assignments in between classes. You get them done, and they're all very interesting and very intricate, and they're just about your company. And by the end of the course, we had to have 20 interviews with real customer discovery interviews, and they were great experience. You learn interviewing skills, you learn sales skills, anything. So it's not just about entrepreneurship. You're also learning skills that you can apply to the real world once you do get a job. So that was great. But I just want to kind of paint a picture for the listeners about what D-Drive is. Is that okay if I do that?
Sure, let's go.
Yeah. So D-Drive is a real estate transaction program that brings transparency and clarity to every real estate deal. So, throughout the real estate transaction, papers, getting in contact with, agent and buyer or agent and seller gets a little messy. So what we do, we have a platform that makes all this very seamless and very easy. And Blake did a great job of programming it and building it. And it's very simple, and I think that's what the real estate market needs. That's what we saw that the real estate market needed. And another thing is we saw room for this product for this website because the real estate industry is really lacking in modern technology. They like to stick to the old stuff. And, that was one of our issues because a lot of people were saying they weren't willing to switch over to that newer stuff because they all use the old stuff. So that's what makes it a little difficult. But I think the thing with D-Drive is once we get one brokerage on, I think it'll just be a domino effect because they see, oh, this works for them. It would probably work for us. And, we got to vamp up our technology. So yeah, kudos to Blake it was his idea originally. And, he did a great job. That was a very good idea. And now we're running with it.
Your comment about D-Drive being simple, I think that's a massive selling point. I'm going to assume with the lean startup model, which is a great model, not just because I teach it, but I know it works. I assume with that model, you evolve to the point of simplicity in the company through those customer discovery interviews.
Exactly. So we'd hear their feedback and then we'd apply it more to our website and our strategy when we're going to be pitching this to people eventually. We have to hammer down on the fact that it's simple and simplicity is key.
Not that we're going to turn this into a 3-person class lecture for our listeners, but look into that lean startup approach, that iterative approach. It really is important. And I know that there are other undergraduates around the country who are involved in AI style startup ventures because I see them online and I've talked to a few of them. My suggestion for them is that you could use AI to be a customer discovery interview. It's always going to be better if you talk to a human being.
Yeah, exactly. Get out there and talk to people. You're not going to learn anything about an industry unless you hear actual anecdotal evidence.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also how I conceptualize the idea of D Drive. Within my AI coaching and AI consulting for companies, I started with going to real estate agents and real estate firms, and I saw firsthand how far behind the technology is within the industry. And to be honest, any industry currently in this day and age of AI and technology, it's very lackluster when it comes to everything. So when you have these new ideas, they're so easy to make and prototype nowadays, to where you can be a part of these programs and go ahead and test your lean canvas model, because now you can make something so fast, which in reality years ago would have taken you months to even have a little prototype. So we're definitely kind of light years ahead of where we were previously. But now I mean, I've always said, like, in where we are in this day and age, it is the easiest time to become an entrepreneur, because you have so many tools and so much knowledge that can help you out with this kind of aspect.
And to add on, to go back to what you were talking about meeting with people in person to, learn about your business and how you can perfect your business. I remember when we were doing our program with the lean canvas model, I would literally just I would walk into real estate offices, and these people would look at me like I have 10 heads. They'd be like, what is this kid doing here with sweatpants on and a hoodie? And I would use being in college to your advantage as much as you can. If you walk in there and you say, hey, I'm a college student and I'm here for a project, and I just was wondering if I could ask you a few questions. It's being in college is the perfect time to try things entrepreneurial, because if you fail, who cares? It doesn't matter. You're in college still. There's not that much risk. Just go out there and try it. Go talk to people. If I walked into one of the offices and they said, like, get out of here, kick rocks, who cares? It doesn't matter. You're a student. Just try everything. Try it.
Yeah,
Like I said, throw the pasta at the wall.
Exactly.
one of the things I teach my students, which you guys know, is college campuses are a great place to fail. I mean, there's such a massive support system there that can help pick you back up. Plus, we're built for that type of learning, that type of call and response learning. You give it a shot, it fails, you go back, you switch, you change. Maybe you talk to your professors, maybe you talk to classmates, colleagues, in this case, fraternity brothers, and you refine your approach, you refine your pitch. Give it another shot.
Exactly.
See what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys know we're a Sigma Pi podcast. Both of you have been in leadership positions in the chapter. Blake, you were the chapter vice president. Brandon, you've worked with our committee system. What did you guys learn about entrepreneurship that helps inform your work with the fraternity?
Yes. So, I mean, as a whole, from even a managerial perspective, I've learned so much about what it is to be a good manager, in quotates, but obviously the vice president. But I was still managing 56 guys. So it's not the easiest thing in the world, is managing a bunch of fraternity guys, but that taught me to be so resilient in what's right and what to get done. And obviously being in charge of the committees, like with all our philanthropic activities and fundraising, like we had so much amazing things going on, and that taught me how to really honestly get stuff done. And that was the most important thing. But it also taught me what to focus on and what not to focus on. And so, excuse me, when you're managing a bunch of people, it's important to really hear what people have. I think one of the biggest things in terms of being creative when it comes to fundraising or philanthropy, everybody should be heard in what they have to say, because if it's just you doing everything and you thinking about everything yourself, you're just going to be closed-minded and you're not going to be creative. The biggest thing is definitely take advice from the rest of the guys. Like, we're all like-minded individuals. We're all there for the same reason, to grow and be a great scholarly owl at the end of the day. I mean, I've learned so much from the fraternity, and it was like one of the best experiences that I've ever done. And obviously, we had the most amazing fraternity advisor, obviously Dr. Palazzolo.
The
But,
glaze is thick in this episode.
I mean, it's true. I mean, again, in the beginning, we were talking about why I joined the fraternity. I mean, Dr. Palazzolo is a reason why I wanted to join, just because obviously he's a great human being, amazing teacher, but he has been through the real world of business, has started companies, closed companies. Like, just to have an advisor like that and a mentor is definitely amazing. And so being able, again, to share all of these kind of entrepreneurial ideas with my fraternity brothers and different stuff like that, like getting Brandon on board was amazing, and doing stuff with him. I mean, coming into Monmouth University, I had no idea who Brandon was. I don't even think I knew him when we were rushes either, but obviously we've grown so incredibly close through the fraternity, which has been amazing.
Yeah, and for me, I was part of the rush committee for our chapter, and I had a couple great partners. I want to give a shout out to Ben Roncero because he's still a rush chair, but he did a stellar job. But I think being rush chair really taught me, how to just go out there and talk to people. It made me so much more confident. I was just going up to random people, introducing myself, and telling them why they should join our fraternity, and hosting these events, getting these events together, and making sure that all the rushes got to our events, texting them, keeping up with them. It really taught me a lot about, just get out there and talk to people, be confident. And, the more confident you are, the more people will follow you. And that's definitely true. If there was a rusher that was not confident, then no one would want to join that fraternity. And that's just a fact. So definitely taught me confidence, which is very important entrepreneurially and just in life.
Thank you guys for your kind comments. There's a lot of carryover. There's a lot of carryover what you guys learned in the fraternity that you can bring to the world of entrepreneurship.
That's just one of many that I said. That's
Of course.
there's a lot more, but yeah, confidence definitely helped.
So here's an interesting question for you guys, and it's interesting because you guys asked this question a couple of months ago. Last year, the fraternity started using a new slogan. As you know, because you asked a bunch of folks, it's Find Your Purpose.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, if you go back and watch the bonus video episode back in September, you should watch it in September 2025. Brandon was asking all of the guests this question. You won't see a lot of Blake on camera. Blake was actually doing the recording. He's in the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So now, guys, it's time for you all to answer this question. What does Find Your Purpose? What does this new slogan mean to you? And how has Sigma Pi helped you find your purpose?
You want to go first, Brandon?
You can take it. You can take this.
All right, yeah. No, so again, it just boils down to how I started, and from an entrepreneurial perspective as well. Like, you need to fail. Like, as much as it's the worst thing ever, you have to learn to be uncomfortable, or I'm sorry, be comfortable in uncomfortable situations, which is failing. I mean, you have to really, sometimes you even have to hit rock bottom to really find who you are as a person. And that could spark the most insane thing that you have never seen before. So I think our new slogan of finding your purpose just kind of emulates kind of how I started with everything. And again, I failed, learned from it, and I've since been able to achieve some really remarkable things that previous Blake would have been like, "Oh, you're an idiot. Like, you have no idea what you're doing." But I learned from how to fail and how to really grow as a person, and I think our new slogan emulates that 100%.
Yeah, for me, Sigma Pi helped me find my purpose through the people. I think the most important thing in a fraternity is bonds, connections, friends, and through those connections and through those friends that you make, you can help you find your purpose through other people. Like, what I mean by that is other people give you different perspectives on things, different ideas, and just different hobbies and everything like that. Other people give that to you and influence you. And I'm glad I joined Sigma Pi because there's a lot of great influences around me and a lot of people that I really can look up to, even younger kids than me that I can look up to in ways.
Yeah.
Things you can find things you respect in any type of person, and there were a lot of guys in Sigma Pi that they graduated, but I looked up to a lot of them. They helped me find my purpose because they made me want to be the best version of myself, especially somebody like Blake too. Seeing him do his entrepreneurial ventures and all that stuff, it was just very inspiring to me, and it inspired me to get involved and be the best version of myself. So yeah, I think the Sigma Pi definitely helped me find my purpose by just putting me around great people that can help me be the best version of myself.
It's great.
Yeah, 100%.
You guys
Yeah.
have great answers. Great answers.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Sometimes you can be inspired by younger people. It's what you guys do with me. It's one of the
Exactly.
reasons why I
Yeah.
stay involved. You guys
Age is
inspire.
just a number. So I'm getting up there now.
All right, guys, before we go, do you have any final parting words for the listeners?
I mean, one, find your purpose. As cheesy as it is, but definitely learn and don't be afraid to learn something new. I never thought I was going to be a tech guru, but here I am, just because I learned something new. And another thing is learn to like what we were talking about earlier, like learn to talk to people. I think like talking to someone is the greatest thing that you can ever get. I mean, I always preach that your network is your net worth at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how much money you have, but if you have those skills of being able to talk to people, and this even boils down to Rush, like talk to people within the Rush committee, talk to people at a networking event. Always be the one to go up to someone who may not be like that most well-known person. You want to be a personable person at the end of the day. So
Good advice.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, my parting words would be find balance in everything you do, especially with the fraternity and schoolwork and business ventures and work and anything like that. Just find a perfect balance for yourself. That's the most important thing for any college student. A college student could lean too far into works and their grades fail as a part of that. And some kids lean too much into school and don't focus on anything else, like hobbies or interests, and they don't develop any like really hobbies or interests. And I think it's really important just to have a balance. Have fun. Having fun in college is very important, but also, lock in at certain times. Know when to lock in and know when to, take yourself seriously and don't let yourself go and just seriously find a balance. That's key.
yep.
Great advice. Great advice. Hey, if our listeners want to connect with you guys on social media, somewhere online, how can they find you?
My handle is really easy. I have a one of one name, so it's just Blake Marushak at Instagram or in LinkedIn. Feel free.
Yeah, same on LinkedIn. I'm just at Brandon Blythe 17, and same with Instagram at Brandon Blythe 17. And free to drop a follow. I'll follow you right back.
Yep.
Perfect. Hey, guys, I am so incredibly proud of both of you. Thank you for being guests on the Owl Talk podcast.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having us. Thank you.
You can stay up to date on the latest in the world of Sigma Pi fraternity by following us across social media. We are at Sigma Pi, all one word, on Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and Facebook. On YouTube, we are at Sigma Pi fraternity, also one word. Remember, you can always get the latest information on Sigma Pi fraternity at sigmapi.org. Thank you to everyone who listened to this episode, and we look forward to you joining us for the next Owl Talk podcast.